All right, let's go on to some change of base stuff. Before you get started on any of these change of base ones, like number 53, number 54, and so forth, it's probably important to take a look in your book at page 31, section 1.3, number 31. You'll see some change of base rules in there. So I'm just going to recall this. I'm going to look back in my book and I'm going to say recall change of base rules. And I think one of the mistakes students sometimes make in calculus and pre-calculus and so on and so forth is they don't read their textbook. If there's a theorem, if there's a corollary, if there's a rule, if there's an equation you can use, it's important to invoke that equation. So from page 31, there was a couple of change of base, but it specifically mentioned if you have b to the x and you want to take it to a base of e. It actually says this right on page 31 that b to the x is equal to e to the x natural log of b. And I'm not asking you to prove that. I'm not asking you to come up with that equation. For a problem like number 53 and 1.3, you can just invoke that equation. So therefore, these little three dots here mean therefore, a little triangle of dots. Therefore, 2 to the x is actually fairly simple. 2 to the x actually becomes e to the x. So it becomes e to the x natural log of b. So it's going to become e to the x, okay, where x is whatever this exponent was. So b to the x becomes e to the x because it still is 2 to the x. So it's just 2 to the x natural log of whatever the base is. So the x term, the exponent was x. So e to the x, or e to the x, because it's still just x up here, natural log of the base. And the base up here is 2. And just like that, you are actually done with 1.3, number 53. And for that matter, we could, I'm not going to do it, but 1.354, very, very similar. Be careful on this one because on 1.3 number 54 it's actually 3 to the sine x. 3 to the sine is your exponent. So that's going to become very, very similar here. E to the x, so it's e to the x, but now the x is everything up here. So sine x natural log, so x natural log, and then the base. And what is the base? The base is a 3. So you actually got a 2 for 1 out of this deal here, where you ended up getting 53 and 54 for free.